I was going through something that I haven't actually gone through a lot. It's up there at the top. There's a bunch of messages, and I never understood it before. But then I decided, I've been on YouTube long enough. I should, start to learn how to use it, right? And then I found this video response to one of my videos, which is the only one I've ever had actually, and it was the one in response to my thing on our schools. It's called Our Schools, spelled phonetically. And everything that you have said, I've completely agree with. They say that a country goes to a certain pattern. All great countries do. First, it starts out as oppression, and then they move and they do a revolution, and then it's prosperity. Then they begin to prosper, or I know that's abundance. Then they begin to develop into an abundant nation, just as America has done all three of those. And then, I'm trying to remember exactly how this goes because I don't want to mess it up. Well, basically, what America has done, it has gone from, we were oppressed, then we revolted, then we were prideful, that was it, and then we had great abundance, American ingenuity. That's a phrase, American ingenuity, it's a common term used. And then we got lazy throughout the 60s and 70s. All of a sudden, high quality of life and all that stuff, we don't have to worry about certain things anymore. And then apathy. And right after apathy, they become enslaved again, because it's been so long. No one in America knows what it's like to be enslaved. Not even, there's actually might be a few people in the black community who remember what it was like to be oppressed, and like hardcore oppression, not minuscule oppression that people talk about today. Today there really isn't oppression how it used to be. It used to be really bad. It used to be very, very bad. Death. There are certain areas though, but I'm reminded of this thing I saw on the History Channel about this, and it's not really about this, but in the late 1800s, there was all that open land that they had opened up to anybody who wanted to go in there. Well, the only problem with that, and it was great because it's free land. Anything that you see out there, it's yours. So that was the plus about it. But the downside about it is, first off, you are completely isolated. You have 50 acres, and there is nobody in any direction. And so if anything goes wrong, you're screwed. You have to figure out a way to deal with it. It's just you and your family. And if you guys don't have a way of dealing with it, then there's nothing that you can do about it. So not everybody went on the bandwagon with that, but a lot of people did, and they had some really bad winters. And one particular winter, there's this really famous school teacher, and she led all of her children out of the schoolhouse, of which was about to collapse. And rather than having it collapse on her children or her students, she took them a mile up the road, and she took them into a barn house and saved all the children, and became a hero overnight because of this. And everybody went, did you hear about within, well, it wasn't overnight, it was a few weeks later she became a hero after the printing got across and all that stuff. And in New York City, they this huge moth is right over there. And in New York City, they had all these great winters. Nothing went wrong. Really nice winters. And so, rather than seeing that as a feat of whatever they went, well, that's something that we will never have to deal with here in New York. And the following winter was one of the worst winters on record, apparently. And people died. Dozens of people died, and there was no reason for it. It was just out of sheer arrogance. They said, "Oh, I'll do this anyways. It's not too bad." And then all of a sudden they're caught in this thing, The horses couldn't get anywhere. Any kind of mobile transportation that was completely useless. So then they were left on foot and completely screwed in a whiteout, and many people died. Um, and so then that has never happened since then. They've never allowed that to happen because it hit them in the face. So really, I mean, it's the apathy problem, is that we haven't been oppressed. We haven't really been oppressed. We don't know the meaning of oppression. We think we do. People go, oh, I'm being, oppressed. It's like, no, you're not being oppressed. You don't know what oppression is. So we're apathetic because the problem isn't staring us in the face. It's a few years later, it hasn't really gotten that bad, So, we're pushing it off just like how anybody would have done. 100 years ago they did it, and then before we know it, we're already paying taxes far beyond anything that any of the founding fathers would have dealt with. They had a 1% tax, and yeah, and you're right, it's apathy. It's just out of sheer apathy. They don't care. Our kids don't care. I sure as hell didn't. I wanted to just get through it, I mean, we're forgetting, that, like, oh yeah, you have to work for prosperity, it just doesn't, government just doesn't give it to you as our government has been able to, and that's my little response to your video. It's a little off topic from the original one, but, it's pretty much the same thing.